You're listening to the Smash Bros. Cast. I'm your host, N64 Josh. My sparring partner and co-host, Nightcrawler. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
It is going good. It is going good. This is episode 18. The show notes will be found at n64josh.com/SBC18. Bro, how many days until Super Smash Bros. Ultimate comes out?
I happen to have that right here. As of today, which is July 6th, we are down to 153 days. So almost, yeah, we're getting closer.
It's still halfway to forever.
By 7 days.
It's just halfway to forever. That's all I know. It's halfway to forever. Well, guys, we do this show live at twitch.tv/N64Josh. 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can check it out. Otherwise, you can listen to it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, all of the above. And we're just going to jump into the Smash news. So, Washington Post had an article that we will link to in the show notes, right? But there's a few. It's the article's kind of talking about Nintendo's relationship with the esports community, and so we are going to. I grabbed a few little nuggets out of it. I highly recommend go and check it out, read the whole thing. It's a fairly long article, but one of the things it touches on is Sakurai's his view of the audience, or kind of the audience focus. Right? And so here's a quote from Sakurai. It says, "When you talk about audience, I don't really think too much about the audience per se," Sakurai told the Washington Post through a translator ahead of the game's unveiling at E3. And this is Sakurai again. "I feel like a game, at the end of the day, is about playing the game. But if we focus too much on the top-level players or the audience, then the game skews a little bit too much on the technical side." So when you hear that, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think most of the times that he's commented, I think he regrets how technical and competitive Melee was and became and is for a lot of those players. And you can see it kind of in every iteration in the last 2 that we've gotten, that he has tried to dial it back a little bit. And this new game coming out, Ultimate, is probably the most competitive that he's made a game since Melee. But I think he ultimately wants the average Joe to be able to pick up his game and play it and enjoy it for what it is. And I think there's other comments in this article as well that he talks about how he just didn't like that the game became so technical and hard to understand for that high level of play that it became.
Yeah, the whole article is great. But hearing him talk about that, I mean, they have a huge audience that they have to reach, right? They have a huge audience that they have to reach. So we're gonna dig into this a little bit more in just a little bit during our main talking points, and kind of maybe speculate on some solutions for this and whatnot. But like he says, at the end of the day, the game needs to be approachable by a very, very vast audience. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of times that means the Melee crowd's not going to make the transition because this game isn't quite as technical. And I don't know that I blame the Melee crowd, honestly. I mean, look at the gameplay that comes out of, look at the plays that can be made. Look at the moves and the things that happen during those tournaments. It's high level play, right? It's a very high
it's really fun to watch. It's just not super pretty to look at anymore.
Right. And for the average Joe, you're not even gonna know. You or I sit down with one of those pros, we might as well put the controller down. We would do just as much damage. You know what I mean? Like, there is a massive, massive skill gap. So I can see where they're at. Like, look, we've invested this much time. We've invested 13 years of our lives into Melee. So they definitely want a sequel to Melee. Speaking of that, bringing the community together. This is no little chunk I pulled right from the article. It says, as of 2017, in terms of viewership and entrance, Melee and Smash 4 tournaments have been comparable. According to Newzoo, Melee and Smash 4 ranked 11th and 12th, respectively, in terms of viewership, with a combined 16.8 million hours viewed on the Amazon-owned streaming platform Twitch. If those audiences were in fact combined, the Smash scene would rank 9th, well above Capcom's Street Fighter V and below Psyonix's car racing game Rocket League. It would also make Smash the world's top fighting game in terms of viewership. So there's something to be said about that, right? Like, it would be nice if this game could really bring the community together.
Yep.
I don't know that it's going to be possible. And this is, again, our main talking point, so we'll get to it in a little bit. There is, I mean, what do you think when you see those numbers and everything? Like,
you and I were just going over this right when we were pulling kind of the chunks here for the show notes, and I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew Smash was popular, but it is kind of a niche thing for watching it on Twitch. I didn't realize it was as high as it was, but the most interesting fact in there was that it's the most popular fighting game if you combine the two of them on Twitch, and that's over Street Fighter, that's over anything else that could be there. But that's only if you combine the two viewership numbers. So hopefully, I mean, like we'll get to this a little bit later, but hopefully Ultimate can bridge that gap and we get kind of bringing everyone back together.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I've been a huge proponent of saying that Nintendo needs to have a game that gets into at least the top 10 on Twitch, and that would help move consoles, move software. Like, it would be great for them. Smash has that potential. If Super Smash Bros. Ultimate can at least have some of the high level gameplay that we can get from Melee, the potential for it to be higher in the directory on Twitch it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, because anything right now is just kind of flashes in the pan, because it's when a new big game comes out or something like that. When Breath of the Wild was out, it was ranking high up there, but once people the big streamers got through it dwindles back down. So it's not anything that can be consistent and staying up there in the top 10.
Correct. So I do want to point you guys to another podcast. Yesterday, Crawler and I did episode 108 of the Nintendo Powercast, and we got to interview Vicky Kitty, who was one of the commentators at the Smash Bros. Invitational. It is an amazing interview. She has so much energy, so many cool stories about being at E3, about Smash Bros. Ultimate, about commentating on the game. Even some tips on getting into that, if that's something you're looking at. So n64josh.com/NPC108. That's the episode. You can watch or listen to the interview there. She is great. So check that out. You got another piece of news for us.
Yeah, so I don't remember where I saw this on Twitter, but I think it's come through a few different outlets. But the characters that are coming back returning that never had Amiibo are going to be getting confirmed releases of Amiibo. So that's Ice Climbers, Young Link, Pichu, who else am I thinking of?
Snake
here?
with no
Wolf, Snake. Yeah, so all those characters that are coming back, they're getting a confirmed release. We also saw the two new Amiibo at E3. So Inkling Girl is all. I think we talked about that a little bit last night. We don't even know if there's going to be Inkling Boy or if it's just going to be Girl. And then Ridley, which we saw those Amiibo. And then it has been shown. It's shown up on, I believe, My Nintendo store for Japan. They have dates and groupings of Amiibo to reprint all of the original Smash Amiibo. So I think it was in two different groupings. One was larger than the other. I think it was like 45 characters for. So probably the original. It's probably going to be how they kind of came out originally. So the first 45 characters, and then the additional DLC and other characters coming out later. But right now, that's only seems to be confirmed for Japan. So hopefully we get that here in the States. And if you're missing anything, I guess hold off, and maybe you can get them for a little bit cheaper than buying them off eBay or anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry about your wallets, guys. You know, sorry about your wallets. I'm pretty thankful that I have all of the original Smash amiibo. I have all of them, but I don't know. My gut feeling is that the cardboard might change. You know, it might have some Super Smash Bros. Ultimate branding on
You'd
it.
be really screwed there. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, the bottom, like the pedestal, doesn't change from gold to silver or anything else like that. So.
Well, for the same ones we saw, they're still black, so we're good there. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see updated branding, but you know, time will tell. Well, our talking points, right? This is kind of focusing on the community, on the competitive community, and the question that I want to pose for us today is: should there be more of a competitive focus in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? And let me elaborate on that, because I don't just mean that I don't say that thinking it's not competitive enough as it is right now. I think it's going to be great, but I'm wondering if it would be possible, and maybe even not at launch, but maybe down the road, if we didn't get like a melee mode that maybe only includes, like, it could be a tournament setting. It has the mechanics that are from Melee, the characters that are from Melee, and allows the community to basically play a Melee remake. It's only a certain mode that doesn't, you know, so essentially you would have your Smash mode that has items, that kind of stuff. Then you would have your competitive Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, like, competitive mode, just basically like we play now, 3 stocks, you know.
Well, hopefully it's 3 stocks. It's up from 2.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the game that's designed right now, let that come out, but then also include a melee mode that maybe they include more characters, maybe they don't, but I think it would be one of those things. I think, and you may disagree, but I think that would help kind of bring the community together. What it doesn't do, though, is it doesn't say, hey, the Smash 4 players are now going to play against the Melee players, because, you know, you're still going to have that little bit of a disconnect. But if they did something similar to that, I'm wondering if we wouldn't see so many games at these different competitions. You know, they have 64, Melee, Brawl, Other M, you know, Smash 4.
Just everybody move forward and just adopt what it is, because I think kind of what you're touching on is, I don't know if I saw it in Discord or on Twitter. It might have been from Stealth on Twitter. I think that he's like, it would be a big disservice if Smash Ultimate didn't have like what Street Fighter 30th Anniversary has, where the different game modes live within the game. So like with Street Fighter 30th Anniversary, you have those, at least for online, you have 4 different versions of Street Fighter 2. And so Alpha and Turbo and all that kind of stuff that live within that online infrastructure. And I don't know if we'd maybe necessarily be able to get that completely within Smash, because I think physics and all that kind of stuff would change a little bit. But at least have a roster setup that is just N64 only, like that you're playing Smash 64, and then you have Smash Melee, where it's only the Melee roster, and then Smash Brawl, where it's only the Brawl roster. And kind of just, it can live in its own little segmented area, but then there's also just Ultimate, where you can have everybody playing against everybody else, and it's how the game was set up and presented to us at E3. But I think that would be interesting and fun to have those kind of blast from the past kind of infrastructure set up that way.
And I think ultimately what I would like to see is that everybody could make the switch to the game that's coming out. That it would, we would see some of the highest level gameplay. I'm just not sure that Ultimate leans enough towards Melee to get that community excited about it. Because a lot of them, I see it on the regular. I've seen it in our Discord. I see it on Twitter, and it's why can't they just give us a Melee HD Melee remake? There seems to be an outcry for that. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe if we can get if we get to the point. I mean, I know Virtual Console's gone for the Switch. That's not really happening.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's what we see. Maybe we see HD remakes of games like Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion, or I guess that's going to DS, but some of these Game 2000, maybe Melee makes that list. Or does it come out as DLC, like the Melee competitive pack, DLC, free DLC, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, we talked about this on your Nintendo podcast a little bit before E3, but like if the 64 Classic is a thing, like I think it would be super cool if we got an Ethernet port on it. And same thing if they ever perfect or are able to get GameCube emulation down and we get a GameCube Classic, put an Ethernet port on it and let us play games that have multiplayer online, kind of how they were back then, when we didn't have that option. So, and there should be no reason why Smash 64 and Smash Melee should not be on both those systems if they ever come out. So, I mean, that could be a way to get it as well.
I think for me, what I would like to see is the HD remake, only for the fact that TVs are widescreen now, right? You have these guys that are still playing on CRTs, right?
Yeah,
Lugging around.
And they're the ones that go up and buy all the CRTVs out of
thrift stores.
Yeah, Goodwill and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't even think Goodwill takes CRTVs anymore.
So, like, part of me feels for them, because it's like, man, it would be so much easier if they could just show up with their Switch and their GameCube controllers and be able to play. But, I don't know what the perfect answer is, to try to appease everybody. On one hand, why not just add all the Melee mechanics? For people that aren't going to be able to pull that stuff off, it's not going to make the game less fun for them. I don't think Melee was less fun for people, unless you were having to fight against somebody that knew how to do that. But how often are we fighting against pros on a regular basis? Online does change that, because if you go into For Glory or whatever they end up calling it, yeah, you could run into somebody that could completely mop the floor with you. But that could still happen now, depending on your skill levels. So I want to grab from the chat here. Mr. Cool Red Luigi says, putting all those modes would put a damper on Ultimate itself. Sakurai is putting a lot of work into this game, and I think he wants just this game appreciated. Yeah, and I think ultimately that's where I'm at. I would love to see the community just come together around Ultimate and everybody think that it's good enough. I can see why Smash 4 is not really accepted by the Melee community. It's slower. It doesn't have, it has some strange
it's more defensive and not aggressive.
Yeah, and so it's just not quite as fun to watch, and obviously for them not as fun to play. I feel like Ultimate's closer though. Ultimate leans more. It almost feels like the mesh of 4 and Melee, and it can be updated, so that's good too, because maybe the community really ends up saying, hey, we really like, why is there so much knockback, or why isn't there so much knockback, or whatever the case may be. Like, we know this game will continue to be a work in progress even after it releases, but it would be great if the community was as one,
Yeah, and I haven't done enough to go back and look at some of the Melee players that were at the Invitational to see what their reactions were to the game and if they think it would. So maybe that's something I can do this week and kind of just try to track down those Melee players and see if they've. I think Armada had a video response to kind of his reaction to playing in the Invitational. So maybe there's some insight in those videos or any of those tweets or anything like that some of them might have put out. But I know Zero as a Smash player has talked about this game just rewarding aggression, and that defense is no longer kind of a good play. It rewards the player that pushes forward and is trying to take you to the blast zone or just keep you off the stage, all that kind of stuff. So if the best player in the world in Smash can adapt to all these kind of, I mean, he's been good at Smash for a long time, and if he thinks that's kind of where the game is moving to, then hopefully Melee players will want to come and experience it and give at least a fair shot.
And regardless if they do or not, to me that is still a good thing, because I mean, I'm just aggressive all as it is when it comes to like fighting games. Speaking of fighting games, real quick, if you guys are on, if you have a Switch, Pocket Rumble is $10 and it is fun. Are you picking it up, Crawler?
I saw you playing it this morning. I haven't made a decision yet on that yet, but I know you'd probably beat me down pretty good in that one.
Well,
I was watching you play.
It's fun though. It's fun, and it's to me it's almost like a Street Fighter meets Smash in a way, because it's so simple, but it's a 2D 8-bit fighting game for the most part.
And it seemed like this morning as well that when you were playing that it had kind of the Smash aspect of it was that it was all the characters kind of had different abilities, and it wasn't just clones of each other. It was they all were unique in some way.
Oh yeah, each match that I fought, I would pick random characters and try to figure out. Okay, because of the simplicity of the gameplay, you can be very methodical with how you attack. You just have to get your character's like moveset down, which isn't hard to do. The button presses are very simple. The combinations of buttons are very easy. But then you can once you get it down, you can easily counter, and like it could really become a great chess match kind of game. And if you're playing against somebody that doesn't understand the game very well or know what's going on, it's one of those things like you can mop the floor with them quick, and it rewards you for knocking them into the corner and just beating the tar out of them. So
I saw a few corner traps there.
Yeah. So if you need to scratch that itch with a new fighting game, like I recommend Pocket Rumble for sure. So okay, well, our Smash character for this week comes from requested by Ninja Yoshi 13, who was a guest a few weeks ago. He wanted us to do Lucas. Now, since Lucas is DLC, there is nothing for Lucas in the Prima guide, but I found on the Smash boards a full guide. There is a link included in the show notes. It is very, very in-depth, very amazing. I just grabbed the pros and cons for Lucas that I'm going to read to you guys. And then, of course, we have a number of videos that you can watch directly in the show notes, from the Skux one, J-Tails, Dragon Smash, and then just there's some Smash Bros pro play with Lucas. So here's the pros and the cons of Lucas. Amazing combos. These are the pros. Amazing combos, great aerial attacks, little end and landing lag on most aerials, special attacks with many uses, amazing anti-projectile game, good kill throws, rewarding space and sweet spotting attacks. Cons, struggles in some high-tier matchups. Some attacks have slow startup, huge end lag on up smash, low damage and knockback if attacks are sour spotted, linear recovery with PKT. So there you go. There's the pros and cons for Lucas. Again, we included videos, basically some tutorials, watching him in full glory, seeing some of his top 10 plays, and just seeing some pro plays. As far as playing over this last week, I didn't spend a ton of time with the game, but I did sit down with my nephew, who is 6, on the 4th of July, and was giving him some lessons on how to play Mario, how to do the grab, how to do the down throw, how to do to get the combos going. And he was loving it. And we were having, what was funny is I put on like the Omega stages, and he would fly off on almost every single one of them, because he had never played. He didn't even know that setting existed, right? I mean, he just hits the A button until he starts fighting, and he's good to go. But So did that. We're like, we need to make sure that we play each other. We typically play after the show every week. We sit and play, and sometimes different viewers join us and whatnot. That's what this game boils down to. It's the time that you put in, and I think I'm just gonna like start getting up earlier and just play Smash for a half hour every day. Just get coffee,
because
play
next
Smash,
week next week games just are coming out, and so we're probably be losing time to different games.
There's just so many games. It's crazy, but I want to make sure that I'm at least okay when Ultimate comes out. So here's to hoping.
Yeah, you got 153 days.
That can happen. Yeah, 153 days. That is right. That is right. So, anything from you over this last week? Any game time?
I didn't. This is actually the first time I've turned on my Wii U this week, probably since last Friday. But I did play a little bit on my 3DS, just a little bit of For Glory, just kind of while I was waiting on my wife getting ready, I think, while I was upstairs. But just play more Corrin and having fun with that. But I need to work on it still, and it's different going back and forth between the GameCube controller and the 3DS. It's different. So
it's tough, man. It's going to be like going from the Pro controller to the GameCube controller because of the way that the buttons are pretty much laid out the same on the 3DS versus the GameCube controller. So, okay, well, let everybody know where they can find you.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Nightcrawler724. Nightcrawlers without the E. Also, come hang out in Josh's Discord. I know we have a few new 2DSs at least popping up from the Hyrule Shield version, so we got maybe some new Smash players on 2DS, 3DS.
Some fresh blood.
Yeah, get some matches going there. But also, I think we have a few new Wii U players in there as well. So just come in, put your name in, say you want to play, and let's get some matches going.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're a top tier player or you play a lot, like we're always looking for people to learn from, and just to really just to learn from and practice with, because that's what it's about. That's what this whole show is about. Really, it's just kind of learning and growing together so we can get better at this game and have a great time playing it. So you're gonna be able to follow me on Twitter at N64Josh. You can follow this show on Twitter at Smash Bros Cast. If you want to get yourself a free book from Audible, you can go to audibletrial.com/SBC. Pick up a great book like Blood, Sweat, and Pixels if you want to learn about the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making games. Guys, the chair I sit in is from OPC. If you go to n64josh.com/OPC, that link automatically takes $10 off your purchase, and all chairs are $50 off right now. So it's a total of $60 savings. They are great gaming chairs. I love mine. I can't recommend it enough. If you got a second, you can leave us a review on iTunes. That would be awesome. Join our Discord, n64josh.com/Discord. We thank you guys so much for listening, watching week in and week out. And remember the show notes, n64josh.com/SBC 18. And we will see you later. Bye.